Thursday, everybody. We are making birthday cake today for cooking lessons. Well, sort of a brownie-ish thing. I've just adjusted this recipe ever so slightly. It is a gluten-free birthday cake. I got it from the Kirkland bag, and I just adjusted it ever so slightly for our taste, and it works really well. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. And using almond flour is really a wonderful thing to do, especially if you're trying to do something gluten-free. It works really well. And if you have a chance to go to Costco, basically their almond flour is probably the best one I've used. I've used Trader Joe's, I've used everything under the sun, but the thing that's nice about this is that it's super fine and it makes a nice crumb, I guess is the word when you're doing this. Anyway, so we're gonna get busy with this whole thing. Oh, I need a spatula too, love.
Which one?
It's the one over here.
Metal, rubber?
A rubber one, yeah, because I forgot about that. Anyway, so when you're making cakes, now I am not a baker, but I've baked a few things in my life, but when you're making cakes and brownies and different things like that, there is a way to make them and a way not to make them. And you just don't throw everything into a bowl. Although when I was a kid, I was just like, that's how it's gonna get done. But when you are doing it correctly, you cream the sugar first with the butter. That's how it starts, and you get it nice and creamy. You wanna see it well blended. Then you add in the eggs, and I've got some tips on how to do all of this. And then you start adding in all the dry stuff. So there's a rhyme and a reason and a way to do this so that you can do it well. So let me just start with some of the ingredients. First of all, this is also a dairy-free recipe. This is almond milk, and I just use regular, you use whatever almond milk you want. You want an unsweetened almond milk. The other thing that I have done with this recipe, which is gonna sound very odd, but I think you'll appreciate it, is I've cut the sugar in half. Usually the recipe calls for, because I doubled the recipe calls for a full cup of sugar. I'm only using half a cup of sugar, but I double up on the chocolate chips. Bada bing, bada bang. This makes it better. For frosting, I'm gonna do some whipping cream on it, and if I had everything in the whole world, I would do fresh raspberries because chocolate and raspberries are Mark's favorite thing, and it is his birthday. But because we don't have any of that, I may go through my frozen berry bag and find some frozen raspberries and make a little raspberry coulis for it, because that would be really good. Okay, so let's get busy. First of all, we've got 4 tablespoons of butter here. Now, baking, while I've shown you a lot of things with cooking, you can kind of fudge a little bit. Baking is a little more precise. And if you'll notice, I'm actually using measuring cups and teaspoons and everything else because you can't really fudge with it. Now, I say that, although when it comes to making pancakes, back in the olden days when I was making pancakes and stuff for the kids, I just threw stuff in a bowl because that's how my mother taught me. And as long as you have something in there, some kind of a leavening agent, it pretty much works, It's pretty easy. But this is a little bit more precise because we are making cake, kind of cake-ish thing. So we start with butter on the bottom. Now, your butter needs to be softened. You don't do hard butter and you don't microwave the butter, for heaven's sakes. You want softened butter. So make sure you take your butter out in plenty of time so that it has an opportunity to soften. The other thing is, if you're getting down on your butter, you can always use the butter paper to butter and grease your pan. Isn't that such a good idea? I love that idea. I think I read that in Women's Day magazine, like when I was a teenager, and I always thought that was such a great idea. So keep that in mind. We're gonna be adding eggs to the creamed sugar, and I have added the eggs to a bowl, and I haven't done it just because of the demonstration. I would do this even if you weren't around for you to see me, because occasionally an eggshell will get in here. And if an eggshell gets into a small bowl versus your batter bowl, it's a whole lot easier to find that eggshell, right? The other thing is, don't forget, I've already told you this before, but when you're cracking your eggs, don't crack them on the side of the bowl, again, because of the shell. And also, if you hit it on the counter instead, you're gonna get a better crack in the egg. So keep that in mind. The other thing is I wanted to show you, this is a liquid measuring cup, and this is a dry measuring cup. And there is a difference, and they measure slightly differently. So just trust me on this. You need dry measurement cups, and you use those for dry measuring only, and the same thing with wet ingredients. Although when it comes to teaspoons, tablespoons, and what have you, you still use the same implements. Don't ask me why. I don't make this stuff up. I'm just a rule follower, sort of. Okay, you ready? Butter, and let's put in the sugar. And we'll move this other stuff because we're going to be kneading it. And go. Okay. How does this work? This is obnoxious. There it is. Now this process is called creaming the butter and the sugar together. You want to take a look. It's going to keep going until it kind of gets into crumbs. That's about right. You just want to make sure that it's completely incorporated. There you go. And you can even see it change the color. And to this you'll add the eggs. Eggs go in. And now don't they look like just like scrambled eggs, don't they? I think I'm gonna make it go higher. There it is. Now, the next part on this is just bizarre. Okay. The next part on this is now we're going to start adding all the dry ingredients. We'll start with the biggest one first. That's how I do it. And I'm going to show you a measuring trick. When you're measuring any kind of flour, almond flour included, anything that is coming from a bag, you're going to, the best way to do it, I mean, you can scoop it and flatten it, but sometimes that's too much. What you should be doing is spooning it in like so. And I think that's more important for any kind of a wheat flour versus this almond flour, but I wanted to show you the proper way to do it. And do it over your bag for sure. And then you take the back of a knife and basically scrape the top off and let any excess fall in there. And I believe it's, yeah, we need 2 cups. And the second one, I'm not going to do it like that. I just wanted to show you, really it's with you're not going to have the same kind of a texture that you're going to have with wheat flour. Wheat flour will get too packed if you scoop it in the bag because it's a much finer grain than this. So you'll want to make sure that you spoon it in and then put it out there, level it off with the back of the knife. Okay, so this is done. Put that over there. Now I am using cacao powder. I've shown you this before if you've watched my videos. This is what I'll use to the unflavored. I'll add to my unflavored perfect paleo protein if I want to make a chocolate shake. It's very delicious. It has really good, strong flavor, not sweetened, but this is what we're going to add. And I've already got a whole half cup right here. And that goes on top. And then to that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, and I just wanted to show you, this is one of my favorite things. This is a gift from, I don't even remember who gave it to me. Oh, I think it was in my Christmas stocking one year from the kids. But it's a teaspoon, but but it slides up and down, so you can get a quarter of a teaspoon, a half a teaspoon, and a full teaspoon. Isn't that so cute? Anyway, it's one of my prized possessions. I love it. And then to that, you're going to add a quarter teaspoon of sea salt. And we're going, oh, and I need to add, well, I'll add this. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm going to add that to the almond milk because I'm going to add that at the end. 2 teaspoons. And a little more, and a little extra. Okay, that's done. So we're just going to put that aside, and away we go one more time. You ready? That in with the wet stuff, I forgot. And now I'm fixing it. Did I get on my chin? Felt like it. Give it a good scrape because it's all over the place here. Okay. Ready? Let's go. It's done. My favorite part. Okay, now we're going to take these chocolate chips, and I did get some on my chin. I felt it hit me. And this is about 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips, and that's where the sweet comes from. And these are I think 60%, I'm not sure exactly. And we're going to bake this for about 30 minutes in a pan. It's an 8x8 pan that's been greased with a little butter. And we're going to bake it for 35 minutes or until done. And you use a toothpick, stick it in the middle to make sure that it's working, that it's cooking all the way through. And you know, most people's ovens aren't calibrated, and there's a way to calibrate your oven, and you can actually Google that, or you can go to YouTube and see how to calibrate your oven. I don't think you need anything special to do it, but most people's ovens are way off. And if your oven is off, you know, you're not gonna get, it's not gonna work out too well for you. And your baking times will be off. There's hot spots in the oven. You know, we all think that, oh, well, it should be just exactly like the recipe said. Well, in most cases it's not, simply because the oven needs to be calibrated. So check that out. That's just a little helpful hint for you. There's something for you to do while you're in quarantine. Alrighty. There we go. That's good enough. And that's it. And it's not gonna rise that much. It'll rise just a little bit. Like I said, when it's all done and it comes out, I'm going to cover it with whipped cream. I'm gonna make some whipped cream. And then I'll probably have a little raspberry coulis that I'm gonna make. And a raspberry coulis is basically like a raspberry sauce that you can make, because we won't have fresh raspberries to throw on there. And I'll show you how the final product looks. But it won't be till much later. Just watch. I'll be coming back on and showing you exactly what it all looks like at the end. But that's it. Easy, right? Gluten-free, dairy-free. Peace out. Thanks for joining me. And listen, if you want to become a Saving Dinner subscriber and support Saving Dinner, just go to savingdinner.com and you'll see all about our Dinner Answers program. And when you support us, we support you right back and send you menus, recipes, and shopping lists on a weekly basis. I appreciate your support. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.